the day the Earth spoke back. Long before the first barcode was ever printed or the first route optimized, the Earth was a spinning ball of molten fury. It was a primordial furnace where volcanoes roared like the lungs of a waking beast, exhaling the atmosphere that would one day sustain us. Soren, the station's veteran strategist, adjusted a holographic display for Amara, a young floor-led. Together, they looked at a world of orange and red, a time of violent, beautiful birth. "We walk on a crust that was once stardust and fire," Soren said, his voice steady amidst the morning hum of the facility. The fire eventually gave way to the Great Thaw and the Great Chill. The molten red bled into a deep oceanic blue before being gripped by a silent, crystalline white. Amara watched the hologram shift, the world becoming a cathedral of frost miles deep. She touched the edge of the light, imagining the weight of the glaciers that carved the very valleys where their delivery vans now traveled. For the Earth, time was measured in eons, not in the seconds it took to process a shipment. The Earth was patient, she whispered. It was building the foundations for everything we do. As the ice retreated, life exploded in a green riot. Forests of towering ferns stretched toward a younger sun, and the era of giants began, creatures that shook the ground with every step. Soren joined Amara at the massive loading bay doors, looking out toward the distant ridge at dawn. For millennia, humans were but a quiet thread in this tapestry, living by the rhythms of the seasons and the ancient language of the soil. The earth spoke in the rustle of leaves and the shift of tectonic plates, a language of slow, deliberate growth. But the pulse of the world quickened as human systems grew into a sprawling web of steel and silicon. The delivery hub rose, a titan of industry, a maze of automated sorters that hummed with the relentless energy of global commerce. Amara stood at the center of the control deck, managing the digital arteries that pumped millions of parcels across the map. The air was thick with the scent of ozone, a testament to a species that had finally conquered distance, even if it had forgotten the cost of its own frantic pace. Inside the hub, the rhythm was constant, and packages flowed like a relentless tide. Soren stood on the primary sorting floor, watching the sheer volume of material surge past him. The efficiency was breathtaking, yet he saw the exhaustion in the mechanics of the system, a machine that never slept for a planet that needed rest. "We have mastered the how of moving things," Soren sighed, watching a mechanical arm stack crates with surgical precision. "But on days like today, we must remember the why, behind the weight we carry." On the morning of Earth Day, the sun hit the station at a sharp angle, revealing what the shadows usually hid. Amara paused by an observation port and looked down at the perimeter. The hub was choked with the gray dust of progress. Discarded transit film and synthetic fragments swirled in the wind like urban tumbleweeds. The contrast was jarring, the high-tech precision inside versus the neglected landscape outside. She realized the hub was not just a building, but a heavy footprint on a very fragile world. With a deep breath, Amara moved to the primary console. The Earth had been speaking through the rising winds and the thinning soil, and it was time to listen. Initiating a mandatory pause for planetary reflection, she announced over the comms. Beside her, Bastien, the lead technician, looked up in shock as she reached for the manual dampener. Amara pulled the heavy lever, and the rhythmic thrum of the hub began to descend into a low hum. Then finally, a profound, heavy silence. The silence was not empty. It was the Earth speaking back. Amara and Bastien stepped outside, joined by the rest of the team. They traded their scanners for collection bins and their tablets for heavy work gloves. Bastien worked alongside Amara, clearing synthetic waste from the drainage basins and the fields surrounding the hub. They moved with a different kind of purpose now, not the frantic speed of a delivery deadline, but the deliberate, rhythmic care of a gardener tending to a wounded limb. Soren emerged from the loading bay carrying a sapling of an ancient oak, its roots bundled in rich, dark compost. He and Amara found a patch of earth near the main entrance that had been cleared of debris. Together, they knelt in the dirt, their hands working in unison to settle the young tree into its new home. "We are adding a new layer to the Earth's history today," Soren said, his hands stained with soil. "A layer of restoration that recognizes we are guests here, not masters." As twilight settled, the hub glowed softly, no longer a fortress of commerce, but a partner to the land. Amara and Soren sat on a bench of reclaimed stone, watching the first stars pierce the darkening blue. They knew the machines would roar to life again, but the rhythm would be different, tempered by the knowledge that progress is hollow if it leaves the world behind. The Earth doesn't ask for perfection, only awareness. Finally, the heart of the hub beat in sync with the ancient pulse of the Earth itself,